Hey SSDA Nation, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. It's kind of the middle of the week. Thought I'd shoot out a leadership discussion with you, update you on a few things. First of all, we do continue our webinar series this morning, and really a great opportunity for you to take a look at a unbelievable school, spring school that has been doing hybrid personalized learning for a long time, and they are very gracious about giving out their resources and helping. So I hope you get a chance to jump on the webinar later this morning. I'm here to talk to you about three things. It's June swoon time, June gloom they call it down in San Diego when the clouds come in, or it's June where summer starts here in a couple weeks. And usually, well, not usually, back in the day when June hit, it was like, whew, we're off for a couple, 6, 7, 8 weeks, shut the lights down and move on. I haven't seen that in my last 20 years. I think you guys all have to work 13 months of the year. But it is June, and so I want to talk about three things and then really focus in on your leadership around these three things. First, tomorrow, the Senate will be approving the budget, and come Monday, the budget will be has to be approved. So the governor and his team have some work to do over the next 5 days. I'm very proud of our legislators, and thanks to all of you who have pushed your legislators to support schools. I'm very disappointed to hear the administration has some different ideas, and we'll see where it lands in the end. I don't know how you expect us to come back to school with less money while we're asked to do a heck of a lot more during this pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I have to tell you guys that one of the most frustrating things I'm dealing with right now personally is the fact the governor wants to fund this lost learning to help kids get back on their feet between now and December. It really does take about $3 billion and give it to a small portion of the kids. And it doesn't take into effect the pandemic, where 7 million people lost their jobs, and we have a lot of families struggling, and schools have to deal with that. It takes old data to allocate these funds back to 18, 19. It doesn't make any sense. I think it should go into our base and give it to all kids. And I will continue to say that until I'm blue in the face. And I apologize to you guys. I think if they do that, I think it's very inequitable. I think it's wrong. And I think it forgets the most important thing we learned in this pandemic was the digital divide is a very glaring problem. And to just kind of look the other way and not address that before we address some other things is to me very short-sighted and not to me a great decision. So we'll see when the budget comes. It'll change your life on Monday. You also have a bunch of people working on back to school presentations and getting word out to their community, and people doing great stuff. So keep your eyes and ears open. Personally, I really think a couple things I would do if I was in a district or a county. I would really focus in on having 5 or 7 slides that are very scripted and used by all districts and charters of the county. When you're dealing with health and safety, I would say even student movement and things like that, your parents want to see consistency with schools, so it looks like you're really working together to solve this problem. You don't want people going to the store going, hey, I heard this school district's doing this. Oh, I heard this other one's doing this. If you can consistently have PowerPoint slides and talking points that are very, I would say, very compliant or together, looks together that you're doing things as really educational institutions, I think that will go a long way to really relieve parents of what they're doing. This isn't a win, someone wins a trophy for having a better idea. It's about having very consistent and scientific based models to run schools with the COVID virus around. And so I think that's important. I also have been pushing people. You'll see great organizations, businesses that have been doing this COVID for a while, whether it's a hospital, whatever. They have COVID compliance teams. They go around with their clipboard and they're checking off, making sure that sanitation's done, making sure masks are here, making sure that the flow, the arrows and the signs and everything are in compliance. I think putting together a team, I would put a kid on there personally. If you have a K-8 program, put an 8th grader on there. They would take that very seriously, and you're walking around with a couple staff, and 3 or 4 times a day, you've checked it off. You see it in bathrooms all the time. You'll see a list of when the bathroom was clean. It makes you feel better knowing that someone had signed off that they cleaned the bathroom at 2 o'clock. I think that will help you with any litigation and also just consistent practices to talk to your staff about. So I would come up with a COVID compliance team or review team, give them a hat or give them a nice shirt, and they're going around and auditing, making sure you guys are staying in compliance. So back to school will be a big issue. Again, a word of warning, keep it broad right now. We're seeing very much a lot of movement around, maybe I'm just gonna bring all kids face to face, maybe I'm gonna do hybrid. It will change a lot in this next 6 to 8 weeks. So keep it fluid and keep the conversation alive. And then the last thing I think for the June swoon is you gotta get away. You gotta turn that budget in. You gotta have your back to school concept, the base done, but you gotta get away for 2 weeks. What you've been dealing with since March 13th, March 17th, whenever we went into lockdown, is a tremendous amount of stress and pressure. A great leader will turn off that computer or the executive assistant themselves and pull out. Just get out, just get away. Let the board know you'll be back in 10 to 14 days. You're going to have to replenish as you head into August and September when things will intensify greatly. So that's my takeaway for you. A great leader replenishes. It sets a example that there is other things in the world than your school district. And for the one employee that always wants to say, I don't want to take off time right now, you got to go have that conversation, because come mid-July, I think the pressure and temperature is going to go way up, and you're going to have to be fresh, you're going to have to be replenished, and you're going to have to be ready to tackle some really difficult work ahead this summer and fall. For those of you running summer school, again, I still think you personally need to get away and see if you can get somebody else assigned to that. I don't have the magic formula for everybody, but really give yourself some time to work on that. So happy Thursday. It's not over. It's past over the hump day. We're getting closer to getting through the fiscal year. We'll see what happens on Monday with the budget. And with all that said, great saying a few words to you guys. And please email me, call me if you need anything. We're here to help at SSDA. Take care.